Yes. There we go, got some lights. So who gets, just curious, who gets all of next week off of school?
Yeah!
Wow. That's fantastic, man. I love getting days off of school. Thanksgiving's a great holiday. I've got great memories of Thanksgiving. I used to always go to my grandparents' house in Mississippi. So we would drive from Houston all the way to Mississippi, but it was so worth it because my grandma's cooking. Man, that food, that Thanksgiving food was so good. My personal favorite, she used to make cornbread dressing. Not the stuffing that comes in the box, but like the legit cornbread dressing. So I want to hear what your favorite Thanksgiving dish is. So everyone tell me when I count to 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yes! I heard pumpkin, and that was it. But I'm sure that's some amazing food. Hey, well, I love Thanksgiving. You know, do y'all know what the purpose of Thanksgiving is? Like, what do we do around Thanksgiving? Hey, she's smart. She said give thanks. Yes. So the purpose, you know, Thanksgiving, we're meant to give thanks. But what happens when that doesn't always happen? You know, I've seen a problem lately, not just with Thanksgiving, but all year long, with not just middle schoolers either, also with high schoolers, even with people my age and adults. Like, there's a problem. And so I want to show you, maybe you relate to one of these 2 situations that I'm going to tell you about. Here's the first one. Hey, did you go to the Jonas Brothers concert last week? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I went to the Jonas Brothers concert. You know, my friend gave me like a free ticket to join her, but it wasn't really any good. I mean, yeah, the concert was good, but I sat in section 458. You know, American Airlines, it was way up there. I could hardly even see them. You know, at least like Nick's, outfit was so bright I could see him. But, then I went to go buy a tour shirt. I really wanted the new shirt, and they were sold out of medium. So, oh my God, I wasn't gonna get like a large, so that wasn't even worth it. And then I spilled ketchup on my new shoes. So I basically have to like throw them away. So, yeah, I guess it wasn't even worth going. Or maybe you relate to this example. Hey, so you had basketball tryouts last week, right? So how'd that go? Well, I made the B team. I was on A team last year. I made the B team. But, I think it's just because my coach hates me. I'm shorter than most of the other people. It's not my fault that I haven't had my growth spurt yet. Everyone else is just growing and getting taller. It's not my fault I'm shorter. Well, I guess I did miss like half my free throws in tryouts, but it's not my fault. My coach just hates me and hates my jump shot and hates everything about it, so that's why she put me on the B team, and it's not even fair. This season's gonna be a wash anyway. It's just gonna be a joke. So just think for a second. Think in your mind, what did you notice about those 2 examples? Here's some things that I thought were similar between them. Just think in your head about it. So there was kind of this bad attitude going on, right? It's kind of this Debbie Downer feeling going on. There's a lot of complaining about the situations that they were in. There was a lot of not being thankful for the opportunities that were in front of them. And it was just this perspective, instead of focusing on what could have been good, it was a lot of focusing on the bad parts of these situations. And so why do we do things like that? Maybe you found yourself, maybe not in the same exact situation, but I bet if you were to think hard about it, a lot of us have been in similar situations where we've just kind of been a Debbie Downer, or focused on the bad, or just, kind of a bad attitude, instead of focusing on what was really good and being thankful for it. Why do we do that? I think a lot of times we feel, I say we because myself also, we feel this pressure that everything just has to be perfect. And if the situation or the place I'm going, or if I don't perform good enough and I'm not perfect, then I'm just not good enough. Or it's not even worth it. It's not even worth going. We feel that pressure. Man, if I can't take a perfect picture of my new shoes, then why even do it? I'm just gonna throw them away. They got a ketchup stain. Everything just has to be so perfect. Or maybe we feel this fear of missing out on the other opportunities that other people get. Maybe next week other people are gonna travel to cool places over Thanksgiving and go skiing and snowboarding, and I'm at home. And so it's an actual thing called fear of missing out, or FOMO, F-O-M-O. Or sometimes I think of it this way as, man, I'm just really frustrated that like my jump shot just wasn't falling, but theirs was, or, I studied so hard and I still got a C, and it's not fair, they always make A's and B's. And so it's almost this frustration of missing out. Man, they always get the award, they get, the shout out by the teacher. It's not fair. It's this frustration of missing out. I think we feel those things. What do we do about it? Tonight we are talking about a word called gratitude. And here's the thing about tonight. We're talking about how gratitude, this word, this idea that gratitude ups your attitude. And so I don't know about y'all, but I don't like a Debbie Downer. I don't like being a Debbie Downer, being around one. It's just bad all around. And so we're going to be talking about this idea of gratitude, how it ups our attitude. And so I want to tell you, gratitude, the way it's defined is like this: the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation. So gratitude is not just the one time that you go up to someone and you say, hey, thank you for sharing that snack with me in the front row. Yeah, just like you're doing right now. Thank you for sharing that snack with me. Yeah, and we're also talking about complaining tonight too. So thank you for bringing that up. You see, gratitude is rooted in the idea of contentment. Contentment is maybe not a word that you use very often. Maybe you've heard your parents say you just need to be content. Well, here's what content is. Content is being satisfied and not wishing for more. I'm gonna say that one more time. I'll make sure you get it. Contentment, or being content, means being satisfied, being pleased, being happy, being fulfilled, and not wishing for more. Now, I don't know how you could sit there and just be like, oh yeah, okay, and just be passive about it, because when I hear that, it's like someone punched me in the gut. It's like, oh wow, like yeah, that's a hard one for me to actually really be content, because I always want more, or I always want better, or I see what other people have or what they're doing, and it looks not fair maybe, or it looks like I don't have enough, it looks like I'm not enough, it looks like I'm not skinny enough or tall enough or pretty enough, and I'm just stuck thinking, am I not good enough? And it's rooted in this lack of contentment. I'm not content in myself. And so there's a guy in the Bible who has a lot to say about contentment. So if you have a Bible, I'd love for you to turn to Philippians, or if you have the Bible app on your phone, I encourage you guys to always look up these verses on your own. Don't just trust the person up here on the stage. Always look these up on your own. We want to get you guys in the Bible, in the Word. Phone apps are great. Paper Bibles are great, but look these up. Philippians chapter 4. So this was written by a guy named Paul. Now, Paul wrote a ton of the Bible. So a lot of these books here in the New Testament was written by a guy named Paul. He was this dude who was a missionary. That means he went off to other countries to tell people about who Jesus is and what Jesus did for us. And so I want to know what Paul has to say, because he was a really important guy. He was a really cool guy who did a lot for Jesus. So here's what Paul says in Philippians 4, starting in verse 11. He says, "For I have learned how to be content with whatever I have." All right, Paul, I'm listening. You've learned how to be content. I want to know more. So here's what he says. "I know how to live on almost nothing or with everything." Now this guy, he came from a rich family. So yeah, he had a lot of things. But then he also was sent to prison. Now this is actually like a historical guy who was sent to prison. The Roman soldiers grabbed him, they threw him in jail, not for doing anything, immoral, but because he was preaching about Jesus on the streets, and they didn't want him to, so they grabbed him, threw him in prison, and then suddenly he had nothing. And so for this guy to say, "I've learned how to be content," yeah, Paul, I want to know more. He says, whether it's with a full stomach or empty. So he's at home and he gets to eat all he wants, or he's in prison and literally is going hungry. He continues to say, "Whether I have plenty or with little, I've learned the secret of living in every situation." Okay, Paul, I want to know. So if you've got this secret and you can be content in all those situations, at home, in prison, whether you're hungry, you've got all the things you could ever want, or you literally have nothing, Paul, how do you do it? What's the secret? Here it is. I bet you've heard this verse before. Philippians 4:13 says, "For I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength." Now, did you know this verse isn't talking about, when you're on the sports field, like, yes, you can hit that home run. Like, yeah, of course, Jesus can give you strength of any kind, But what he's talking about, he's heard the secret. He knows the secret to being content in every situation in life. I bet you guys in this room right now, most or maybe all of us are going through something hard. Or you're watching someone you love going through something hard. Maybe your best friend, their parents are getting divorced. Or maybe you at home are constantly fighting with your family members. Or your friend stabbed you in the back and you're not sure who your friends are anymore. There's so much that's swirling around us, and life is hard and life is messy. But if we can be content in every situation, Paul says, yeah, it's Jesus who gives you the strength to be content in every situation. I think that is so cool. And so here's the thing about complaining. Complaining is draining. Everyone say that. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Complaining is draining. That's right, man. When I hear someone complain over and over and over, oh my gosh, my brother did this, and oh my gosh, my teacher said this, my parents, they're just unfair. It's just draining to be around someone who's complaining all the time. But I was that way. I mean, I still complain. I'm not perfect. But especially when I was younger, man, I have 2 older brothers, and I'm the baby of the family, but they picked on me all the time. Yes, that is cute little Rachel at age 3. And my 2 older brothers, you can tell they're a lot bigger than me. And I would have to sit in the back seat of the car, right in the middle, on our long road trips. And I would try to put my head on Jordan's shoulder, and he would push me over to Josh. And then he would push me back over to Jordan. And I couldn't even put my head on their shoulder. And then we'd be, at the dinner table, and I got my food, and then they'd sneak food off of my plate and eat it, and I'd get all mad at them, and I'd complain, Mom, it's not even fair, Josh is picking on me again, and Jordan, won't even let me sit by him, and I had, the whiny, loud voice, and complaining's just draining to everyone that's around us. But here's another thing about complaining. Complaining is contagious. Right? If someone near you is complaining all the time and you're like, oh, the weather stinks, and, I wish it was just going to be cold, and now it's going to be rainy, and this weekend's going to stink. You're like, yeah, man, it does stink. Well, it's contagious. It's going on all around you. But I'm going to look at another part in Philippians, 2 chapters earlier than where we were just at. Philippians 2, this is also what Paul says. And this is a hard challenge. He says, do everything without complaining and arguing. Whew. Guys, that's Bible right there. That's not just me or mama saying that. That's Bible right there. That's saying do everything without complaining and arguing. And I tell you what, that's a challenge for me. How do I go about my day without complaining and arguing? Because if I want to be like Jesus, I've got to take the Bible seriously. These challenges that Paul's saying, I've got to really own them in my own life. And here's the other thing. So yes, complaining is contagious, but also contentment is contagious too. We talked about contentment and just being satisfied with what you have, not wanting anything more. So that is contagious. If you're like, you know what, yeah, it is kind of weird weather outside, but I'm just glad we get to have fun inside. And then suddenly the person next to you is like, yeah, that's awesome. Let's go, play football inside. But instead, if you're like, oh man, I just wanted to play Gaga, and it's dark outside, and it's not fair, and yeah, that's not fair. See, it's contagious that way. So you get to choose, which way do you want to be contagious? What if our contentment around us is contagious? And so I want to give you guys 4 quick things, and then we're going to be done. So here's the first one. As we're talking about contentment, now when I talk about contentment, this is a choice that you get to make. No one can choose this for you. So you're in middle school and sometimes you feel you're not given enough freedom and abilities on your own, but this is something you get to do for yourself. You get to choose to either have a complaining attitude or a content attitude. No one can choose that for you. You guys are big enough to choose that on your own. So for the first one, I'm going to challenge you with these 4 things. First one here is keep a positive perspective. Ooh, that's going to be really hard. Thanksgiving might not go exactly the way that you want it to next week. Or the days that you have off on this awesome break, you might want to go do some cool things, you're just not able to, or your mom gets sick and can't drive you, and things might not go exactly how you want it. And you've got to choose. Are you going to choose to keep a positive perspective? And here's the next one. Catch yourself when you start complaining. So literally, whenever you hear the words coming out of your mouth and you're roll it back in. Okay, I'm not going to go there anymore. You know what? Actually, today's going to be a good day. I'm just going to choose that today's going to be a good day, and I'm going to focus on other things. So you can choose, you can make those choices. I'm going to look at another verse in Philippians that Paul also wrote. Man, Paul's got some good words for us. He says this in Philippians 4, verse 8. Fix your thoughts on what is true, what is honorable, what is right, what is pure, lovely, admirable. Think about the things that are excellent and worthy of praise. This is great advice from one of the most awesome Christians that has ever lived. Now look closely at these words. Let's put them back on the screen. Let's look closely at those words, because I want you to see. Does that verse say, fix your thoughts on, no, y'all can't see it, can you? Hopefully we'll get Philippians 4:8 up there real quick. So fix your thoughts on what is not going right in your world. No, I didn't read that. Fix your thoughts on all of your messy relationships in your life. No, it doesn't say that. Fix your thoughts on how much you hate today. No, it doesn't say that. Like, there's so much that he could have said, but instead he said, fix your thoughts on what is good. Not just good, but excellent. What is pure, what is worthy of praise, like the best things ever. That's a secret, guys. If you're trying to fix your attitude, if you're trying to be more like Jesus, you got to focus your thoughts on those things. I met two people who set that example for me in my life, and they were actually younger than me. So I went to a country called Nicaragua. It is south of here, south of Mexico even, and I went on a mission trip to Nicaragua. And I got to serve kids and people and get to know them. And so I met Maria and her little sister, Allison. And I was doing VBS with these girls, teaching them about Jesus and the Bible. And then they wanted to show me where they lived. We were at the church, and they said, come. And I was like, oh, okay. And so they started smiling really big. They ran down the street holding my hand, and so I'm following them. And we get to their house, guys, and it's probably a quarter of the size of the stage. Like half and half again was their entire house. And they had other siblings too. I think they had 2 brothers and maybe another sister and a mom and a dad. And I think grandma too. All living in one little bitty space. I'm like, how are these girls proud to show off their house? Excited, really, to come and show me. Because they were content with what they had. They were not wanting more, but they were satisfied with the life that they had. And I feel like they found that secret to contentment, that, man, I want to be just like Maria and Allison, content with what I have in my life. And so, guys, if you take me up on some of those things and the challenges, the 2 others, writing down what you're thankful for is a huge one. Not just to think about it and be passive and walk out of here and never think about it again. If you have a phone, take out a note and write down, not just friends and family, but I'm thankful for my friend Sarah, who is always encouraging to me. That always makes me smile every day when I see her. Be really, really, really specific. Write them down. Also, give yourself the freedom to enjoy the moment and not wanting more. So, like when people are out at the state fair and I see their pictures all over my Instagram, I'm not wishing I was also at the state fair, but instead, on a Saturday night, I was at home with my husband eating chili and doing a puzzle at our kitchen table. And I was happy. This is my life and I'm happy with it. While other people are going off doing their things, that's great. Good for them, love it. But I'm happy and content with where I'm at. So I know it's a tough challenge, guys, but I hope that you'll take me up on at least one of these. You do these things and your gratitude will up your attitude. I am confident of that.